Hello, everyone. This is Charles Walter Buntjer coming to you from San Francisco. And this video is going to be an overview of my 80th birthday when I went to Dubai, Oman, India, and Sri Lanka, of all places. But before I talk about my trip on a ship cruising around the Indian Ocean, I want to tell you about the exciting experience I had just trying to get to Dubai. My friend Virginia and I got to the airport in San Francisco, got on Lufthansa. We were flying to Frankfurt and had to change planes and then on to Dubai. We took off about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and around 6 I went to the bathroom. They said they were going to serve dinner within an hour. I came back, and about 5 or 6 young Asian men were all carrying on, and so was my traveling companion, Virginia. They kept pointing at the window, and I thought it was strange, and I looked out, and there was jet fuel spewing all over outside of the wing. I guess when I was in the bathroom, the pilot made an announcement that the engine had gone out, and they were dumping the fuel just in case there was a spark or something, so there wouldn't be any chance of a fire. We weren't halfway to Frankfurt, so they turned the plane around, landed. We had to get off, get our luggage, and go sit in a waiting room. And they were going to try to get back to us whenever possible and give us another plane ride to Dubai. I guess it was around 10 o'clock at night at the airport, and we decided to give the phone number a call that they said we could contact them at. They said they had a flight for us at the same time around 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, so we could just go back home, get a good night's sleep, and come back to the airport again. So we called our friend Naomi. She picked us up and took us back home, where we got a good night's sleep. And up we got the next morning, and off we went to the airport again. And this time we went up to the clerk, and she just looked at us and smiled. And we wondered, well, what's up? She said, good news. We got you on Emirates Airlines, which is one of the top in the world. Not only that, but you're flying direct from San Francisco to Dubai. Well, what a piece of good luck. Guess what? They put us in the front row of the seats with lots of leg room. They gave us lots of champagne, cocktails, meals, everything you could ever want. Talk about being taken care of. But of course we were a day late, and we landed in Dubai late in the afternoon, and there we were picked up by the ship and taken to the ship. But they said not to worry, because they said about 40 other people had come late like we did. We missed the first day of tours. They said they put everything together so the next day they'd get us up early in the morning and we'd get to see everything and not miss anything on the tours. So nice of them. We got on a bus the next morning, and they took us off to the tallest building in the world. Unfortunately, they don't drive up to the entrance anymore, so you can just get off the bus and go in. They park half a mile away in a parking lot, and then they want you to go through 2 shopping centers, so you might buy something like a $5,000 purse. And then you have to go outside and walk another block to get into the building, and then another block inside. It's so big. Well, Virginia was on a walker, and she got halfway there, and she just gave up and said, just go on yourself. So I went ahead, but the group had gone ahead of me, and they at first didn't want to let me to go up into the tower because I didn't have the ticket and that proved that I had paid for it. Well, I was very irritated, but another guard came by and said, oh, just let him go up there. He was with that group. So off I went to the top of the tallest building in the world, which was a great view, but as you can see, it was very smoggy and dark. And yes, you want to go there because it is the tallest building in the world. And then we're going to go to the most expensive hotel in the world also. But it's just sand and wind and, I don't know, smog. It just didn't do too much for me. They said that it gets 110 degrees in the summer and 90% humidity. And then big windstorms come up and sand blows all over. So it was interesting. We did drive around, and we saw different architectural designs. This one that you're going to look at was the Tech Building, which was like a big shaped donut covered with aluminum. Then we went to some place called the Dubai River, which was kind of strange because they just cut a rift through the city, and they had boats that sailed back and forth. So we got to get on a boat and sail across the Dubai River and back again, but it was really salt water from the Persian Gulf. And then we went and did a tour through a 200-year-old fort. So that was interesting. They then took us in the afternoon to the most expensive hotel in the world, and we were given a tour. And then we went into this huge dining room and had high tea, which was very, very nice. I just wanted to give you a little overview of the hotel. I watched a documentary, and about 1990 they started building it, but of course it was 110 degrees some days, and they had to pour concrete at night because it was too hot and it wouldn't set. And then by the late 1990s, they wanted to have it finished in time for the Millennium New Year. They were renting out rooms for 5,000, 100,000, I don't know, whatever, a night, $1 million for a week maybe. And the architects and the interior design woman said that there was no way they could go and finish by that time because the inside of the building was 110 degrees, 90% humidity, because they hadn't had the air conditioning on. The lobby's like 60 stories high, and it's covered the front of it with a fabric. So after they put the fabric on, it was like 1999 maybe, the beginning of 1999. And they said that they had to put the air conditioning on because the gold leaf and everything else wouldn't adhere to the metal, and all the curtains and everything and the fabrics and stuff were not going to be able to hold up. Plus, they had so much electricity hooked up into each room. Everything was voice activated. You know, open the drapes, shut the drapes, turn the TV on, turn the TV off, turn the water on, do this, do that. So the basement looked like it was a generating plant with all the wires, and they went all over the building. But they did turn on the air conditioning. They told them, though, they could only cool it down 1 or 2 degrees a week, because if they did it too fast, it would ruin the surface of everything. So 6 months went by, and I guess they went from 115 to 75 to 80 degrees, and they were able to finish it on time for the Millennium New Year. So that's what it was like at the most expensive hotel in the world. I guess if you have enough money, it doesn't matter, because uh, people from Saudi Arabia would fly in on their helicopters and land on the roof, and there they go directly to their suites for $1 million a week or whatever, and nice views. And then they would have everything delivered to them, for meals and everything and stuff like that. So if you do have enough money, it doesn't matter where you live. You can always live like royalty. Just make sure you win the lottery. So the second day, we were on the Celebrity Constellation. We sailed off from Dubai to Oman. We started celebrating my birthday right away. You can see some of the young men that we met along the way. They worked in the jewelry department, the art department, and different areas. They were very nice to the two of us. Sometimes they even gave us extra champagne. One of them set cake and champagne and hors d'oeuvres to the cabin for us to enjoy. Just such wonderful people. We did have great meals, and as you can see, we celebrated my birthday here on the ship, but also we celebrated it every day that we cruised around the Indian Ocean. We went to Oman, we went to 3 places in India, and then to Sri Lanka. A wonderful cruise. As you can see, we sailed into Oman, and everywhere around that area, there's nothing but hills and sand, high temperatures or cold temperatures at night, and really not any fresh water. It's a good thing all of these areas have oil, but once the reserves are gone, I'm not sure what's going to happen to them. So here I am at the Royal Palace, which was an interesting design, and walked around there for a while to check it out. And then we drove over to the brand new Opera House, which is interesting because one wing is just shopping, 2 stories of huge glass walls with $5,000 purses and all kinds of things like that. But we were the only ones in there, so I'm not sure who's buying anything in there. Then we drove around some more, and we saw a mosque in the distance. They said it was the largest mosque in the world now. Now, in 1999, I went to Casablanca with my friend Vivian, and when we were there, we saw the largest at that time mosque in the world. But of course, now Oman, with all of its money, had to build the largest mosque in the world. We then, at the end of our tours, had to stop at the local bistro and have coffee because uh, the Arabian area is famous for their coffees. So we had a coffee, and then it was time to get back on the ship and we'd be off to India. That should be interesting. Next, we went to India. We stopped at Mumbai, which used to be Bombay. Um, we traveled around in a small bus and we got to see quite a few of the sites. And one of the most interesting was the largest outdoor uh, area where they wash clothes and press clothes. And well, it's like a dry cleaning store, but it's out by the railroad tracks. It covers acres. It's unbelievable. Can you imagine when it's 90 degrees or something, and these men are all working under these sheets that cover them to kind of keep out the sun? Um, I guess they do a big business with the hotels and everything because they have all the sheets and everything, and then they have the costumes and stuff that the men have to wear and the women that work there. So we actually stopped for quite a while to check it out. And there's a picture of one of the men smiling up at us because I guess he's used to having his picture taken. And the usual person on the street who's peddling things like this young woman with beads and things like that. So that was very interesting. And then we spent quite a bit of time at Gandhi's museum. I guess in the 30s, he spent quite a few years working out of that house. That was kind of a local spot for him to work on freeing India from the rule of England. So that's worth seeing. And then we sailed off to two more places. One was a place where people go for vacations quite a bit, I guess, because it's very inexpensive and stuff. There wasn't too much there to see, but it was interesting. We drove around and stuff. And then the third place we stopped at was interesting because we got to go and see a real Indian opera. And it was just fantastic, the costumes and stuff, and the banging of drums and the whatever they were called, singing, I guess, and just really, really something spectacular and unique to India. And after that, we got back on the ship and off we went to Sri Lanka. Now we got to Sri Lanka and we toured around the city and stopped. And the main thing that we did was go to a mosque. And then after the mosque, I shouldn't say main thing, because after we did that, we went to the Buddhist temple. Now, I guess Buddhism is quite active, and it was just spectacular. And of course, you can't help but laugh. The picture of me in front of the Buddha. The Buddha must have been 40 or 50 feet tall. I don't know what it was made out of. It almost looked like it was porcelain. So of course I'm standing there doing the movement in front of Buddha, who's sitting there going, But after that, we went to a famous hotel and had high tea there and just relaxed and chit-chatted with everybody and stuff like that. And then we got back on the ship, and what happens next is going to be very interesting, just like trying to fly to Dubai from San Francisco. What happened was we got back on the ship in Sri Lanka, and the captain came on and he says, "You're all getting $250 extra." And Virginia and I said, "Ooh, we'll be at the Martini bar or wherever else, or Champagne bar, because we're going to have $250 each." And he said, "The reason is we're sailing back to Dubai." Huh? We were supposed to go from Sri Lanka to Thailand, but we both had already been there, and then to Singapore, and we'd already been there, and then fly back to San Francisco. So the reason I thought it was an exciting trip was the first time I was going to physically go around the entire world in 2 weeks. But that was not to be. But it didn't matter. We sailed back to Dubai. They put us on the top floor of this hotel with a view of the entire city. They gave us a special champagne lunch. And then late that night, they put us on a plane to fly back to San Francisco. It was the Dutch Royal aircraft. So we ended up back in San Francisco, and what a birthday. Wow. So I didn't get to go in completely around the world, but I did go into the tallest building and the most expensive hotel. So it was all in all a fantastic trip.